Hi, good evening. We're with the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch, and we're going to be joined by a parent here shortly. Andrea, she's going to share some insights in getting ready for back to school. We just finished our summer series where we were interviewing members of our student panel, sharing their stories. So we were excited to do that. If you missed, you can check those out in my Instagram live at Jared Blank. You can also go to our YouTube channel. We will be hosting them there as well at the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. Feel free to drop us a question tonight. We're here to help parents as they help prepare their students for getting back to school. And if you're not comfortable messaging us here, you can always email us at the branch, and we'd be happy to get back to you that way as well. Hey, Shelby. Danielle. Hello, hello. Oh, there you are. Gotcha. Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So we just finished up our summer series where we're interviewing members of our student panel, kind of hearing the stories from the students' perspective, which I think is really good because they're obviously the ones that are most impacted.
Right.
But I think what's really cool about talking to parents is, I think other parents want to hear what is it like as we prepare for back to school, and what are some of those things that maybe you're doing or approaches that you are taking that might be helpful for for the audience to know.
Well, I have experience from grade school, middle school, high school. I mean, I can start at the beginning and tell you what I did with each one of those, if that is helpful.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. Like maybe like start, yeah, I would just like kind of start from the beginning. That would be really cool to dive into.
All right. So my daughter Sarah was diagnosed in the third grade, and then we switched schools about that time. And the new school that we went to, they didn't really believe in dyslexia, so it was kind of difficult. So what I did is I went to open houses to meet her actual teachers. So before school ever started, I went in and talked to the teachers to let them know she had an IEP, what her strengths were, what she needed. Mostly at that time, it was extra time to process stuff. So I always met with the teachers before school started, and that was pretty easy because it was one teacher.
Yes.
So we didn't get a lot of support from the special ed department, but I got a lot of support from the teachers, so that was good. And I think probably because I met them face to face.
Yeah, so really quickly on that. So proving that, I remember being back in school, my parents fought the battle of proving that dyslexia even existed
Right.
and that whole thing. So you were doing that, but you kind of circumnavigated the system in the sense of just going directly to the source and working with the teachers one-on-one.
Yes, and it worked out well because the two teachers she had for those couple of years were really understanding. One was actually a previous sped teacher,
Okay.
um, And she was the first teacher that ever asked me, what do I need for Sarah to succeed? What can I do for her? And I was like in shock. I didn't even know what to say because I was in shock at the time because nobody had ever asked us.
You weren't prepared for that. You were prepared for the bad.
I was, exactly. Yeah. We were totally prepared to like be like, we have to have this, this, and this. And she's like, what can I do? And I was like, well, and at that time, that was really helpful.
Totally.
So middle school's a little different. We met with the school psych because every, 2 or 3 years, they have to do a new evaluation. And that, when we met her, I actually work in the district where she works. So she's become like a lifelong like friend, and she's been a really big help. And she actually, we laid it on the table. We're like, we want the word dyslexia in her IEP. And she's like, okay, like it was nothing. So meeting with her before school started, and then I wrote a blanket letter is what we did, and it introduced my husband Paul and I and Sarah and her disability, what works for her, what didn't work for her, the things that she's interested in outside of school.
Sure.
That helped her, stay focused when she was in school.
Do you mind sharing a couple of those things? So I think it's important that parents hear that having that extra stuff outside of school is really beneficial.
Yeah, she plays sports. She likes to work out. She likes to go to the gym a lot. She plays volleyball and she plays softball. Most of it was year round till COVID hit. Softball stayed year round, but volleyball was a little bit less this year. But those are the kind of things that she really enjoyed, and they're things that she can just do without having to really think about it. Which that's what she has to do at school all the time. It just takes her longer.
It's important to get in that space where you don't have to think about an IEP, or you don't have to think about being dyslexic, where you can just be who you are and show up. So that's awesome. Those
are definitely her strengths. And with the letter, I always started before school because it was really good. And I individually emailed all the teachers. I CC'd anybody above them also, just so everybody was on the same page. There's nothing worse than walking into a classroom and the teachers are like, what? That they're clueless or they don't take a look. I know they get a lot of paperwork. I work in the school district. I've seen it. I actually worked in the resource room where IEPs are generated. So I get that, but I think that when you individually contact a teacher before school starts and say, hey, this is one of your students, please look at their paperwork, take a look, see what is up. And it's helped a lot. And now I'm not allowed to do that anymore. She's like, nope, I'm doing it myself. So she'll be a senior this year.
Good for her.
So
is that hard as a parent to,
yes, I know she's watching me right now and probably laughing, but it is hard. Last year was the first year that she was like, I don't need you to do that for me anymore. I felt like I wanted the teachers to know, but she's also got a really great caseworker at the high school who's been with her for 4 years, and he's amazing. That's another resource. If you like the caseworker, he's gone to meetings with me with other teachers before, like when they do report cards and that kind of stuff, when they do.
Sure.
So he was going to talk to the teacher, and then he actually just met me at the door, and he's like, you know what, I think this is one I need to attend with you. So your caseworkers, your school psychs, those are huge people to get them involved.
Yeah. How would one do that? Like, I know probably at different schools there's different processes, but if you could just give some like generalities for parents that might be new to this, and like how to use that system.
So there's a school psych that does the evaluations, and they give them all the tests to see. We did some outside testing with Sarah when she was in 3rd grade because we didn't have that option at our school. But they do some testing, and if they qualify for their IEP, it goes to like a group of people within the school. and they decide how to manage the IEP and how best to help your student. So once that is done, they are assigned, there is one person that's assigned to your child, and their name is all over that paperwork. And they are the people that are also supposed to be at your meetings every year. So once a year we meet with a caseworker. There has to be either a principal or an administrator in that meeting. There also needs to be, and then we've had at one time, we were shocked the first year, her 6th grade year, we walked in and 6 of her teachers were there along with the psych and her caseworker. We thought we were in the wrong room. My husband and I actually were like, we're sorry, we thought we interrupted a different meeting. So that IEP meeting is really important. We're pretty lucky it happens right up at about the beginning of school, but some of them are at the end of school. But the person's name that's on that's the person that you need to contact and talk to.
No, I think that's really helpful. I was thinking as you were talking, and a question popped into my mind of, what would you want to have known back then that you know now?
That it's okay to ask the questions. Like, we were kind of afraid. We didn't know where to start. Our tutor, Shelby, which most of us know, she actually went to one of our IEP meetings with us because we didn't know the questions to ask at grade school.
You call her a tutor. I call her a recruiter. She gets people to do all sorts of things.
That's why I'm here tonight.
She is the recruiter of the year. No, but I love Shelby, and I think she joined us. So just so appreciative of her work. But yeah, go on.
No, yeah, we appreciate everything Shelby did for us. Ask the questions. Sometimes it's hard to educate yourself when you don't know where to start looking. And that's kind of where we were at when we met Shelby, and she gave us some ideas. We really needed to figure out, one of our really hard things with Sarah is when we first had her, we had her diagnosed outside of school, and the school didn't recognize dyslexia. So the only thing that she qualified for was writing. Her writing was lower than grade level. So, and they were debating on whether or not to give her an IEP, and we actually had to pull the American Disabilities Act card because dyslexia is a specific learning disability under the ADA to get them to even start her first IEP in 3rd grade. And I think I came across that from the Orbita website that showed what dyslexia was, and it was mentioned in there. So you kind of had to do a little background and then talk to people like the Shelbys of the world and you and all the other people that are associated with this group, because they've all been through it. There's no one place to start. That's the hard thing.
That is a challenge, but I'm glad that you were able to find Orbita. And for all the parents out there that, might be new to this, please check out our website, drop us a line. If you need support, we're here for you. Like that's our mission. So, tonight, it being about parents and about getting ready for back to school, this is why we're doing this. So please do not hesitate to drop us a line. What do you think you clearly laid out the foundation for how to get the teachers on board, but in preparation for the actual student who might have anxiety about going back, or the stresses of going back where it's not an ideal situation. Have you any insights in kind of coaching that up?
I don't know. Some days were easy and some days were difficult. Just so they know that they're not alone. I mean, that's the whole thing of the basis of all this. I mean, just knowing when she met other kids, the student panel, it's a great place for the kids to be and to meet other kids. So if you have a child and they don't know anybody else who has dyslexia or anyone who's talking about it, because a lot of us have it,
Yeah, for sure.
Join a panel, talk to the kids. They're a good resource. And I don't know if they can get a hold of them through the Instagram page or to talk to them, like talking to their peers, I think was the best thing, Sarah, because I could tell her all day, you know what, you're a good student, you're going to be fine, you got to work through this. Grade school was the hardest because they get yanked from class.
Right.
Where in middle school and high school, they're just in a class of their peers and they're all working on the same thing. So I think grade school is the hardest.
Yeah.
Of going back to school.
That makes a ton of sense, just going back from my own experience as well. But from the note, check out our YouTube page. We have a lot of the student panels have done interviews. That's why we share them there, so that you and your kids can look at those and get an idea that we aren't alone and that we're all kind of in this together. And then feel free to, again, message us at the branch. Like, we will get back to you. And our student panel members are amazing. Like, they want to support other students that are feeling this, being alone, being in this hard environment. So they get it more than anybody. And that's why we created this thing, to credit to Danielle and Shelby and Jane Cooper, past president, for getting this organized. But that's why we have it. So we're there to support. So I appreciate bringing that up. I like to leave the guests with the last word. Like, what would your message be to either educators, parents, or students out there? Like, what would your message be around this topic? Or what's your, like, maybe philosophy or kind of your final?
Wow. I don't know. I think over the years, it's become more common that people understand dyslexia. If it was towards an educator, they have to go back to ongoing education all the time. And if I was to direct a comment towards anything, it would be the district, to get the teachers trained in what dyslexia is, what it looks like, and it affects so many children. And I've always told it, because I've worked, and that's what I did for a very long time. I'm not there anymore. I'm a library aide. But
It's a very important role too.
I helped people learn how to read, and there's so many programs out there that work for dyslexia that can work for everyone. And the programs that some of the schools have, they don't work for everyone. And they really need to look at that piece and know that it needs to be science-based, and it needs to be work for that. Because if it works for kids with dyslexia, it's going to work for 90% of them or more. That's the part that I think frustrates me the most as a parent. It's like, there's so much out there that they could go and utilize, but they stick with some of their old things.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Lots of wisdom right there. Lots of golden nuggets that you've dropped tonight. So,
and it's not a bad word. That's the thing, that dyslexia is not a bad thing at all. My husband, my kids, they all look at things way different than I do, in a much broader and better way, actually, than I do.
Well, you are much apprecited for all your advocacy. You're getting lots of love on the shout outs. Shelby, amazing. So thank you for joining on a Monday night and taking the time. And we wish your daughter the best going into her last year, senior year.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And credit to you to raising her to being advocating for herself, because that's the dream.
That is where she's at. I'm very proud of her for
that. For those listening, check out our summer series where our student panel members talked. We'll post this video so parents, you can rewatch, get some ideas. Again, check out the International Dyslexia Association Oregon page, because we share a ton of parent resources there. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a line. We're here to help.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks.